It's hard to believe that The Elder Scrolls Online has been around for 5 years now, and it seems like only yesterday we were playing the beta, wondering what the future held for ESO. 5 years is a long time to be playing an MMO, and this tends to create a wide separation between veterans and new players. This happens because, bluntly, new players have years of content and knowledge to catch up on, and this can be quite intimidating. In fact, the most frequent question I'm asked is it too late to get into Elder Scrolls Online? In this video, that is the exact question I will aim to answer. However, I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, then you already have a mild interest in the game, so we won't discuss what makes this game fun to play. Anytime you jump into an MMO after it launches, you are essentially the new kid on the block. This is a tough position for anyone to be in, and this is before you take into account how a game is performing and where it may or may not be in its life cycle. Nobody wants to join an MMO that's on its way out, investing time and money into something that won't last. So, before we jump into whether or not you should try out Elder Scrolls Online, let me give you some information on MMOs in general that you may not be aware of. All MMOs have a similar life cycle that they inevitably follow, unless they're WoW, and Elder Scrolls Online is no exception. The game is just over 5 years old now, as mentioned above, so players may be wondering how much longer it's gotten to tank. Let's take a look at this life cycle so we can pinpoint just where ESO falls. To give you some comparisons of MMOs, Lord of the Rings Online launched in 2007 and went free-to-play in 2010. Rift launched in 2011 and went free-to-play in 2013. Star Wars: The Old Republic launched in 2011 and went free-to-play in 2012. WildStar launched in 2014 and went free-to-play in 2015. This means that games are going free-to-play faster and faster on average, or are simply being created as free-to-play from the very beginning. Elder Scrolls Online was released in 2014, and if I'm being totally honest, I've been anticipating free-to-play to come for 2 years now based on the industry averages. Just looking down the list, you can see that even after 5 years, Elder Scrolls Online is still hanging tough, and this is partly because of frequent content updates that it gets. But it's also because some quick thinking by the ZeniMax development team, adding many quality of life improvements with each update, and I'll cover these in the next section. The Elder Scrolls Online released with an extremely rocky launch, and the game had a major identity crisis that led to bad reviews. Many players tried the game once and then never came back, and I see many players now asking if it's worth the return to check out what's changed. In this section, I'd like to show you what's been added to the game since launch, which is a very extensive list and might blow your mind a bit. I've not included DLC content that was added to the game here, but simply quality of life improvements. 12-man trials added to the game. These are essentially raids that have normal and veteran difficulties. Guild traders added, allowing players to buy from guilds they are not a part of. Guild heraldry added, allowing players to represent their guilds visibly. Armor dies added to the game. 2 and 4-piece set bonuses added. Pledges, daily dungeon challenges added to the game. Dungeon Finder added to the game. Crafting writs allowing players to gain XP from daily crafting quests as well as materials and other special items. Justice system added, allowing you to commit crime and be punished if caught. The champion system added, allowing for progression after reaching max level. Tamriel Unlimited, removal of the subscription model. Sets dropped now match your level. Previously these had fixed level ranges and did not scale. ESO released on consoles. New crafting material tier added for champion level 150 and 160 gear. Several new skill lines added based on new guilds. Assistants that allow you to manage your items on the fly. Can now murder citizens and punished if caught. Veteran ranks removed from the game. Personalities added to the game. Console text chat added. Previously they only had voice chat. One Tamriel, players can now play with any player of any faction and level in any zone except Cyrodiil. Witches Festival and other holiday events added to the game. These are now about 6 times or so a year. Player housing added to the game. Warden class added to the game. Transmutation added, allowing you to change the traits of equipment. Jewelry crafting added. 2-handed weapons became 2 set pieces instead of 1. Werewolf was overhauled. Necromancer class added, and finally Guild Finder added. None of these were part of the game at launch, and it's easy to see why the game wasn't quite so good back then. It was hard to play with your friends, you couldn't do dungeons with players of other factions, and there was no Dungeon Finder. And on console, for a period of time, you couldn't even communicate via text, making things worse. Now anyone can play with anyone, and level and faction are not important. Players can do any zone they wish in any order, maximizing the potential to play with others, friends or not. Equipment and sets are now much better than ever before, and ZeniMax continues to revamp and improve these with every major update, including Elsweyr. Elsweyr, the 3rd expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, is releasing on June 4th for all platforms. Expansions are now a once-a-year occurrence for ESO, and with them come some very good deals on the game. For instance, right now you can purchase the Elsweyr Digital Standard Edition from the Elder Scrolls Online store for $59.99 USD, and this will come with the base game, Elsweyr, and the other 2 expansions, Morrowind and Somerset. These expansions are otherwise a few thousand crowns each in the Crown Store, which is roughly 70 USD by themselves. You simply won't find a better deal than this until next year's expansion, so I strongly recommend this edition if you like what you see of the game. However, if you aren't interested in shelling out that kind of money just now, you can also pick up the base game for around $19.99 USD. In addition, there are often sales in the game that go as low as $9.99 USD, like the one on Humble Bundle just the other day. This is next to nothing for a game that gets constant updates, and almost all quality of life improvements also affect the base game. It's a very low-risk proposition at this price. Conclusion: Elder Scrolls Online is defying all expectations by continuing to sell their game at retail and hang on to and expand their player base. ZeniMax's commitment to frequent content updates has won Elder Scrolls Online countless MMO of the Year awards, and is even starting to convert WoW players over to the Tamriel side of things. Whether you're looking for a new MMO to play or you're a returning player who was disappointed at launch, I highly recommend this game. It is of course inevitable that the game will become free-to-play at some point and begin its gradual descent into mediocridom. However, at the rate that ESO is going, I don't expect this to happen for several years, and I do believe that we are right smack in the middle of its golden age. Right now is the best time to be playing the Elder Scrolls Online, so if you're really wondering whether or not it's too late to get into, the answer is a resounding no. Stay tuned for more ESO builds and ESO content throughout June as we dive deeper into Elsweyr.